Welcome to Melanated Moments with Erica, a sacred space curated with guided meditation and impartations for your journey as a melanated woman pursuing wellness in the present moment and beyond. Join Erica St. Bernard, a licensed marriage and family therapist, as together you build capacity for curious exploration that inspires wellness in ways that amplify authentic living. Allow melanated moments to be a part of your holistic journey to be well, live well, and love well.
Greetings, melanated woman. Welcome to Melanated Moments. I'm Erica St. Bernard, and I'm so glad you're here. I invite you to join me for a moment of sacred pause and breath. Before we get started, grab your journaling tools of preference so you can note your experience. I'll be here when you return if you need to pause the audio. Welcome back. I'd like to invite you to settle into your space and allow your body to soften as you feel the chair supporting you. You might press the soles of your feet onto the floor or wiggle your toes as you choose to rest one hand on your chest and the other on your belly, or as you rest both hands on your lap, or you allow them to fall by your sides. I invite you to make yourself comfortable wherever you are as you choose to close your eyes or soften your gaze and lower your eyes to the floor. I invite you to notice your breath. Bring your attention to your inhale and exhale. Simply notice what happens when you turn your attention to your breath. Take a few more natural breaths. Now, I invite you to join me in a series of deep breaths. Inhale deeply through your nose and hold for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Then exhale longer than your inhale. Inhale deeply through your nose, holding for 4, 3, 2, 1. Then exhale longer than your inhale. Inhale deeply through your nose and hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Then exhale longer than your inhale. Inhale deeply through your nose and hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Then exhale longer than your inhale. Inhale deeply through your nose and hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Then exhale longer than your inhale. Inhale deeply through your nose, holding for 4, 3, 2, 1. Then exhale longer than your inhale. Once more, inhale deeply through your nose, what you'd like to receive. And hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Then exhale longer than your inhale, what you'd like to release. Yesterday, I had an experience that I can't stop thinking about. I attended the Founders Lunch, where founders come to be found. It was hosted by a dear friend at The Grove here in Maryland. And from the moment I walked in, I knew I was in for a treat as I was witnessing something special. It wasn't just another networking event, and it wasn't just another business lunch. It was a masterclass in the power of intentional gathering and what happens when someone creates space, not just for business cards to be exchanged, but for women to be seen. As I sat there, surrounded by incredible Black women entrepreneurs, sipping a signature mocktail called the Founder's Spark that literally shimmered as it fizzed, I kept thinking, this is what it looks like when someone understands that how you gather people is just as important as why you gather them. Today, I want to share what I learned about the art of intentional gathering and why the details matter more than you think. There's a scripture that comes to mind as I reflect on yesterday's experience. It comes from the sacred text, Proverbs chapter 31, verse 16. It says, "She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard." As we know, the Proverbs 31 woman understood something profound. Investment in the right foundation creates fruit that multiplies. She didn't just buy any field. The text tells us that she considered it carefully. She didn't just plant anything, she planted with intention. Another verse of scripture, 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 40 tells us, "Let all things be done decently and in order." This verse is very often quoted about church services, but it definitely speaks to something deeper about how we create experiences for others. When we do things with intention, with beauty, with care, we create space for God to move in and through people's lives. The host of yesterday's lunch understood this very well. Every detail was considered, every element was intentional, and the result was transformative. The group chat is still going about how amazing yesterday's event was. Let me paint a picture of what I walked into yesterday, because I want you to understand just how thoughtful details create emotional experiences. Let's start with the venue itself. The Grove was stunning, but it wasn't just about choosing a beautiful place. The host had selected a location that felt both elegant and approachable, professional and warm. Each place setting had a handwritten name card, not printed, handwritten. And these weren't just throwaway pieces, they were keepsakes, beautifully crafted with the curator's brand colors woven throughout the tablescape. The host took time to write each person's name by hand. Do you understand what that communicates to a room of Black women? It says you're not just a number. You're not just filling a seat. You were considered for this space at this table. The signature mocktail, called the Founder's Spark, was more than just a drink. It literally shimmered as it fizzed. It was definitely Instagram worthy. But more than that, it was an experience. Every refreshing sip reminded each of us that this wasn't an ordinary lunch. The food wasn't just delicious, it was beautifully plated. Every element of the meal was an experience, not just sustenance. Now, some people might think these details are extra or unnecessary, but here's what I've learned. When you honor people with beautiful details, you communicate their worth in ways that words alone cannot. These women weren't just being fed, they were being celebrated. They weren't just networking, they were being seen. But the most beautiful part wasn't the aesthetics. It was how the host created space for authentic connections. Each attendee was invited to share 3 things: who they are, what industry they're in, and a fun fact. And let me tell you, those fun facts ranged from travel adventures to one woman's goal to become a bodybuilder by the age of 55. In a world where networking often feels transactional, this experience felt transformational. Because when you know that someone dreams of bodybuilding at 55, she's not just a woman who runs the marketing agency. She becomes human. She becomes interesting. She becomes someone you want to know more about. The host also created open space for participants to ask the room for wisdom or guidance. Women began raising their hands to share real challenges in the areas of grant writing, RFP responses, business strategy dilemmas, and the room responded with genuine wisdom, resources, and connections. This is what happens when people gather with intention. What starts as an individual struggle becomes collective wisdom, and isolated entrepreneurs become a community of support. I watched women who had never met before exchanging genuine encouragement. I saw collaborations being born. I witnessed the kind of support that can only happen when someone creates the right container. A container for a connection, not just the exchange of cards. So, what can we learn from this experience? I'm glad you asked. How do we apply the principles of intentional gathering to our own lives and work? Lesson 1: details communicate value. Whether you're hosting a business meeting, a family dinner, or a community event, the way you prepare the space communicates how much you value the people coming. A handwritten note, a thoughtfully chosen location, a special touch, these things matter. Lesson 2: beauty serves purpose. The aesthetic elements weren't just pretty. They created an atmosphere that elevated the conversation. When people feel honored by their environment, they show up differently. Lesson 3: structure creates freedom. The host didn't just say, okay, let's network. She created specific prompts that allow people to share meaningfully. Sometimes the most authentic moments happen when we're given gentle structure that fosters connection. Lesson 4: vulnerability builds community. By asking for fun facts and creating space for people to ask for help, the host normalized being human in professional spaces. Business connections happened because curiosity was sparked first. Lesson 5: hosting is ministry. When you and I create space for people to be seen, supported, and celebrated, we're doing more than event planning. We're creating opportunities for transformation. For those of you in romantic partnerships, these principles apply at home too. How you prepare for date nights, family dinners, and important conversations, those details matter, and they communicate care. The environment you create affects the connection you and your partner experience. Intentional gathering isn't about having money for expensive venues. It's about bringing thoughtfulness to how you bring people together. So, how can you apply this in your own life? If you're hosting business events, think beyond the agenda. How can you create moments for authentic connection? What details would communicate value to your attendees? If you're planning family gatherings, how can you move beyond just getting the people in the room to actually creating space for meaningful connections once they arrive? If you're building community, what structures can you create that allow people to be both professional and human, competent and vulnerable? And if you're developing your brand or business, how does your attention to detail communicate your values? What experience are you creating for people who interact with you? This week, I invite you to consider your own gatherings. How do the details of your events, your meetings, and your dinners communicate value to the people you're inviting? Where could you add more intentionality to create deeper connection? What would change if you approached hosting as ministry rather than just managing the logistics? How might beautiful details enhance the experience you're creating for others? Beloved, you have the power to create transformation through intentional gathering. Whether you're hosting 2 people or 200, the principles remain the same. Honor people with your preparation. Create space for authentic connection. And remember that how you gather is just as important as why you gather. For my Maryland residents seeking mental health support, as you continue to build authentic personal and professional relationships, visit the link in show notes to book a therapy consultation. For my global community, wanting coaching as you're creating meaningful connections and building with intention, visit the link in show notes to learn more about sacred authenticity. And don't forget to join our Melanated Moments community, where you'll receive the sacred Sunday messages that arrive in your inbox each week with encouragement for your journey. The link is in the show notes. The world needs more gatherings like yesterday's lunch. More spaces where Black women entrepreneurs can be both professional and human, competent and supported. You can create those spaces. Start right where you are, with what you have, with the intention to honor the people you gather. Be well, live well, love well.
Thank you for listening to Melanated Moments with Erica. This podcast is brought to you by Your Life's Well, leaders in individual, marriage, and family therapy since 2017. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our show on Apple or Spotify. To stay up to date with Melanated Moments, follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Your Life's Well, or visit us at yourlifeswell.com. Stay tuned for our next episode of Melanated Moments with Erica. Until then, we invite you to stay well, live well, and be well.